In December 2010, Barbara Struncova vanished while living in Costa Rica. For 5 agonising years, friends and family have searched for answers. Did she leave her boyfriend and run away with someone else? Is she in hiding somewhere? Or did Barbara suffer a more gruesome fate? In this Crime Watch Daily investigation, we set out to answer the lingering question, where is Barbara? We begin in Costa Rica, in a surfers paradise called Playa Tamarindo. Barbara Struncova was a Czech native but a citizen of the world, a passionate traveller who came here with her American boyfriend, Bill Ulmer, looking for a different way of life. We had no trouble finding friends who remember them well.
Very amicable, you know, really nice guy, very outgoing, well-spoken, charming.
She was a very beautiful person. She was kind, she was smiling, she was a beautiful person.
When they weren't surfing, Bill and Barbara worked together at this shop for Christian booze.
Bill, he used to be a really nice guy, really friendly, really good talker, sell everything fast.
They lived in this house, only steps from the beach, with 2 other couples, including Christina Hughes.
Barbara was a sweetheart. She was very funny, very enjoyable, very easygoing. He didn't really go out. He just surfed and went to bed.
Sounds like they'd found their own slice of heaven. But we also tracked down another roommate who tells a different story, and she asked that we conceal her identity.
Their relationship was on the rocks. She wanted one thing and he wanted another. Before Barbara went missing, the status was that if Bill didn't get his act together as far as, settling down with Barbara, that she would be leaving him and going back to Czech.
Other friends also began to notice signs of trouble.
She was the breadwinner in the relationship, and so with her leaving, he would be kind of left on his own.
As far as I knew, with Barbara, she came from a pretty well-established family. There's money in her family.
I actually asked him, hey, are you guys still together? And he said, man, I'm with her because of the money. She's not pretty, but I can be with her in bed. It's just all about the money. And I look at her wow, that's so empty of you.
She had mentioned that she was going to leave that following April.
On the night of December 4th, trouble in paradise reached a breaking point. According to friends, Bill and Barbara joined a group of Czech tourists for dinner and drinks.
They had all gone out that evening. Bill was tired and he wanted to go home early. He wasn't having fun because he didn't speak Czechoslovakian.
She stayed and ended up drinking and being social with her friends.
When Barbara returned, according to Bill, they got in an argument. She told him that she was going. She went to the Caribbean side with her Czechoslovakian boyfriend.
She packed her things in the middle of the night and left him with her friends and went down south.
The next morning when everyone woke up at the house, Bill had said she had left.
Bill was alone, broke, and devastated.
He told me she was a crazy and that she left him for another guy, and he said, you never know a person until they leave you.
And I was like, what? I was like, what are you telling me? He's like, yeah, she came home last night. She was very drunk. She packed all her stuff, and she went somewhere to the Caribbean with this boyfriend who came from her country. We all felt sorry for him, and we believed him.
2 days later, Bill borrowed a car in a desperate effort to bring Barbara back.
He said that he was going down south to look for her.
But his broken-hearted search proved fruitless. To most, it seemed the romance had simply run its course.
We knew that she wanted a family and to be married, and he didn't want that.
So for me, that was a really surprise, but I said, okay, it's her life, I respect that.
But we discovered that pity soon turned to suspicion.
There was a lot of information that didn't add up.
This was very strange.
When a far more sinister clue began to surface.
It sent a shock through this town.
Barbara Strunkova's disappearance on December 5th, 2010 confused many in the tight-knit community of Tamarindo, Costa Rica.
It didn't sit right. It didn't feel right at all.
As our Crime Watch Daily investigation discovered, there were holes in Bill's claim that he and Barbara had a fight before she ran away in the middle of the night.
No one heard anything. None of the roommates heard any noises.
I know she would at least send me a text message and say, hey, I'm taking a little time off, I'm going away or something. It was not like her just to go.
Bill told some that Barbara took off to the Caribbean, others that she went to Panama.
Everyone I talked to was telling a different story about where Barbara was and what happened.
2 days later, I received a call from Barbara's uncle. He was just, hey, where's Barbara? Did you know anything about Barbara? I said, man, I don't know, ask Bill.
Friends soon discovered something else.
Barbara could not leave out of the country without taking her passport, without taking her credit card and bank cards.
Her passport was in the safe in the upstairs room.
Nobody would be traveling around in this country without access to money. Impossible.
None of this makes sense. Where's Barbara? She's not in touch with the family. She's not speaking to anyone. What's going on?
Only 11 days after Barbara vanished, Tamarindo was rocked by another mysterious disappearance.
I was the last one to see Bill Ulmer.
Disappeared, basically. You know, one day he was there, next day he was gone.
I saw him literally right before he hopped on a bus to San Jose.
Even more troubling, Bill left the country traveling on his brother's passport.
In that moment, something told me like, hey, it is something wrong here.
When Bill fled to the US, the roommates went into their room and we saw saran wrap, duct tape, hammer, a gun. All of her stuff was there.
That was when I started kind of getting more involved in actually investigating it.
Assuming the role of amateur detectives, Barbara's friends first questioned the group of Czech tourists she'd been partying with the night she disappeared.
They did take her home because she didn't have a car. They dropped her off in front of the house and they saw her. They watched her walk through the door.
Then there was Bill's behaviour the next day.
Bill started acting really strangely. He started locking his door. He was staying in his room the whole time after Barbara had left.
When he did emerge, the lovesick surfer made some curious purchases.
Bill purchased a longboard surfboard bag from our roommates at their shop.
They call it a coffin bag, ironically.
He said, I need it for the Czech people because they are going to be packing their surfboards in there to take them home with them. So they sold him the bag. I reached out to the surf instructor and I asked him, hey, did you guys purchase any kind of oversized bag through Bill from the shop? They said no, they didn't buy any bags.
That raised another red flag. If Bill was broke, where did he get the money to buy the bag? After Barbara disappeared, bank records show $3,000 also disappeared from her account.
He was actually caught on the cameras using her bank card to get the money out of the bank.
Authorities will not release those video recordings, and Bill Ulmer has never been charged with stealing money from Barbara. But friends are also now suspicious about that trip Bill took to go find Barbara 2 days after she dumped him.
When Bill did borrow that car, someone actually had seen him in Marbella Beach, which is a few beaches down from Tamarindo. And someone said they had seen him there with the borrowed car. However, there was no surfboards. He wasn't out there surfing. He was sitting in the car at the beach.
The surfboard bag was never seen again.
And finally, they discovered something even more damning.
My roommates told me he came home with a bunch of cleaning supplies, which was strange because Bill never cleaned anything in the house. He always left a mess, so there was no reason for him to have a thing of cleaning supplies, especially when we have maids that cleaned every week.
Armed with these incriminating details, Barbara's friends called local authorities who sent agents from the OIJ, Costa Rica's FBI. What they uncovered confirmed everyone's worst fear.
They did do a thorough investigation of the house. I know they brought their best forensics team in. They found blood evidence.
What surprised me was seeing all the blood that was on the floor all the way around the house that we couldn't see with our own eyes. I mean, it looked like someone had a wet bag of something and drug it around the pool and out of the house.
Had Bill been in country, I believe they would have apprehended him and questioned him extensively, but he was able to get out of the country.
Even worse, without a body, the OIJ says they can't bring murder charges.
We feel helpless, you know, I felt helpless.
That's when Matty reached out to his old surfing buddy, Pat McNulty, who was working as a detective in Providence, Rhode Island.
Shortly after I got this information, I didn't believe that she was missing. I believed that she was deceased. Do I know that Bill Ulmer did that? No, I don't. Do I suspect that there might be that? Yes, I do.
Bill Ulmer has never been charged, but Barbara's friends have their theories.
What I think happened is she walked in, they got into huge disagreement, and he just killed her. He killed her.
And it was a day or two until he actually borrowed a car to go look for her.
I think he waited till late at night and put her in the board bag, put her in the car, and deposited the body somewhere.
He knew back roads to different rivers and things like that, and there are plenty of crocodiles. I'm sure he knew a place to dispose of a body.
All of us got together and we went to look for the body, for the surfboard bag. We went to look in many different places, in the jungles. But they told me basically, with the type of weather conditions that we have here, anything, the animals, the wildlife, the humidity, the salt air, the human body would disappear within a couple of weeks. And it was well after 2 weeks.
So where is Bill Ulmer? We came to Costa Rica in search of answers in the disappearance of Barbara Struncova. Sadly, we discovered that her closest friends believe that any trace of Barbara has long vanished in these tropical, animal-infested jungles. They also believe her boyfriend, Bill Ulmer, knows a lot more than he's letting on.
I felt really stupid because we could have done something. As a community, as friends, we could have done something more. But man, he had us fooled. He had us fooled, all of us.
After Barbara disappeared and Bill fled to the United States, we located him at his parents' house. We spoke to him on the phone.
He said some pretty interesting things. What, you think I put her in a board bag and dumped her in a river?
It just shocked us.
Unsolicited. These are just things that he said.
I think he enjoyed it. He really thrived on the fact that I'm so smart, I'm so good. Y'all don't know what happened. He completely enjoyed it. He's a very sick person.
So where did Bill Ulmer go? We followed his trail out west, where he began work as a driver in the oil fields of Wyoming and Colorado. And the stories we uncovered sounded oddly familiar.
Bill Ulmer is the classic charming man. He says all the right things at all the right times. He would tell you you're beautiful 20 times a day, everything that a woman would want to hear.
This woman, who we'll call Jessica, met Ulmer through an online dating service.
He was looking for a long-term relationship, and that he hadn't been in a relationship in a long time, and that it was time for him as well to find someone to spend his life with.
Lucky for her, Jessica did some digging and came across this website created by one of Bill and Barbara's roommates in Costa Rica.
I asked him to tell me about Barbara. He seemed to think it was kind of funny that she was missing because he didn't seem sad. He told me that she got involved in drugs and that she was dead. I distanced myself away from him after he told me that he knew Barbara was dead.
Jessica wasn't alone. We found Bill's profile on a website called Bad Boy Report, a site that exposes purported cheaters.
I hate to characterize someone, but I feel like maybe he's earned it, that he's a classic con man that will do and say anything to get what he wants. And he doesn't care, and he's good at lying. He had me convinced. I thought he was a nice guy.
Someone else thought Bill was a nice guy too, and she married him in early 2015. Crime Watch Daily tried to talk to Ulmer and his new wife and were told to stop calling. Bill Ulmer's life was moving forward, but the search for Barbara had come to a stop. It had been 5 years and her closest friends were losing hope.
This is definitely one of the saddest things I've ever had to experience in my life. I just feel so horrible for her and her family, and that Bill was able to just get away. And it breaks my heart that anyone has to go through something like that.
Fortunately, tenacity does have its rewards.
Basically, I just kept gathering information and sending it to Pat.
I knew the one fact that we had was that he used his brother's passport to leave the country. So based on that, I contacted the State Department.
The dogged efforts of Matty and Pat finally paid off in May of this year, just when Bill Ulmer thought Costa Rica was but a distant memory.
He was about to go on his honeymoon to Hawaii, leaving from Denver Airport, and he was arrested at that time. He had his brother's passport in his possession at that time.
Ulmer could face over 20 years in federal prison for charges related to passport fraud. Crime Watch Daily reached out to Ulmer's attorney and multiple family members. His attorney never called back, and his family refused to talk to us. But there's also hope that authorities in the US will work with those in Costa Rica to finally answer the lingering question: where is Barbara?
I think the case has lost a lot of momentum and attention, and that's why I'm happy to sit here with you. I hope we can bring some more light and attention to this story.
I'd like to say something to Bill. Bill, this was somebody's baby girl. Help us find Barbara. Help us put some closure to this case. She has a mother and a father and a family that are grieving. Help us, Bill. Tell us what happened. Let us know what you know.